That might hurt them. Billa and Jordation coming in as the DPS players, or the main DPS players for Sydney Drop Bears. So they have some big shoes to fill, and now this is, I guess, their opportunity to show that as we head on to our first map of Nepal.
Yeah, looking very cold up here, I must admit. A little bit warmer here in Sydney, though. But fortunately, no one's battling it out here right now. We're going to kick it off. Yeah. Game number 2, map number 1 here on Nepal. The hack coming out straight away there onto that health pack.
Yeah, as you do. Just going to be a bit of backwards and forwards. No real full commitment onto that right side of the map there from Sydney Drop Bears. They don't really have the kind of a team comp that you want to be doing that with. You don't want to be going up against the Arista Roadhog Junkrat in that kind of a brawl. These guys are going to be looking for some more picks. They've got, of course, Diva. They've got the Sombra, and they've got the Winston, so they're going to be sneaking around, seeing what they can do, rather than just trying to take an all-out brawl. And Jordation, there we go. That's actually a very, very big pick. Mercy going down early on in the piece. No real healing there available, of course, for the rest of Jam Gaming. I mean, yeah, of course they have a second healer, but big loss. And you can see that just the complete team wipe that comes as a result of that very initial pick.
Look at that great work. Billa already up to 73%, looking for that EMP as well. And Ultimates coming out across the board, ready to go for the Drop Bears. That was a very, very nice little take there. And as you said, a lot of that came down to
immediate change up from Jam Gaming as well. They started off with the Arista Roadhog composition. They've said, okay, stuff that. It hasn't worked. Let's go back to the tried and true Winston Diva. Going to try and deal with this Soldier a little bit better now with this kind of a composition, and I do like that change up.
We'll have to see how it works out for them. Obviously, they really didn't have much to lose in the way of ultimate charge either, I suspect, Jordan. Not a very good start for them. 35%, 1/3 of the way through. Jam Gaming trying to get on the point. Drop Bears holding back from the other side. Can Cassette get picked up?
Yeah, I'm suspecting he's not really in a good position here.
There we go.
There we go. Finally does go down. It was a good Discord Orb onto Winston earlier on in that fight. It was Quats, or rather it was Loon that went down early on in the piece. Quats, of course, on the Sydney Drop Bears. But they're still hanging on to the point. EMP does come out now from Billa.
Yeah.
And that should basically just net a free team win for Sydney Drop Bears, because once your entire team's hacked, once they can't use their abilities, it's like,
kind of hard,
what
right?
am I going to do?
It's not much you can do. So
I mean, the worst thing is playing loose here, right? When you get hacked, it's like, I'm just a guy that runs around now. Like, you can't even wall ride. You don't play music anymore. You're literally a guy.
It's literally like being a DJ at the nightclub when the power goes out.
Yeah.
You're done.
Like, what are you going to do?
You just sat there and dab, mate.
You need a backup generator, something like that. But look at this. I mean, this has just been really, really good from Sydney Drop Bears. They've barely used any ultimates. Of course, they used the EMP in the last fight. But Billa's already back up to 45%, nearly getting in a position where he can use it next fight again. We've got Jordation, Shoyo, Bertlog, Face. They all have their ultis available. The repush is going to come out now from Jam Gaming off the back of Cassette's sound barrier, but it's not looking too good.
Jordation, what can he do up here? He has managed to find Loon. Sleep Easy jumps off, and it won't even make a difference. There's that 100%. Easy done. Drop Bears, a great round number 1 here. Looking very, very clean on Nepal.
100-0. Jam. I sort of talked him up a little bit.
You did.
And
we're like, this might be the one. This might be the close one today. But
yeah, well, they haven't really impressed so far.
That wasn't great. But
no.
Look, let's not throw the jam out with the bathwater, because we still have an opportunity.
That was a weird analogy if I've ever heard
like
one.
the baby out. It would have worked better if it was the Drop Bear, because that's like a live thing. That's like the size. Well, I was going to say size, but Drop Bears are bigger than babies. They're like the size of big dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, we are into round number 2 here, and it's going to be, again, just the dive comp out from Jam Gaming, more or less. Atar on that trace, I didn't feel like he had too much of an impact in the last round. And again, he's of course going to be key for this Jam roster. He's, I mean, on paper, probably the best player there. The one certainly with the most experience. So he needs to have an impact, and we're not really seeing it just yet.
Atar almost goes down, does manage to bring it back, however. Out of the mech goes Crimson Wolf. Loon goes down, and Render finds a frag. 2 down here for Drop Bears, 2 down for Jam. They're both fighting on the side as it becomes unlocked. But I'm not sure. It feels like Drop Bears maybe have this advantage.
Yep, they certainly do.
There you go, Bertlog.
Really just doing so much work. Discord Orbs are his best friend. Shoyo cleans up Atar there, and it is again just going to be a clean first cap out for Sydney Drop Bears. They only drop a couple of players, whereas Jam essentially all went down at one point in that fight. Render has to back out there with the translocator, saving his life.
Hey there.
Just a A little bit of a waiting period for Jam. Now they'll finally make their way back into the fight. Atar has the pulse bomb available. This could be crucial. Who is he going to stick it on? If anyone, he's not really having the opportunities. Dancing around in the Winston bubble there is not going to work out too well for him. And meanwhile, his counterpart on the other side, Jordation on Tracer, finding 2 picks. Billa comes up with 2 as well, as D making the Diva. Huge work there from the 2 DPS on Sydney Drop Bears. Again, not very many ultimates used by Sydney Drop Bears to hold that one off. Just Jordation.
Sitting on 4, mate. Sitting on 4, ready to go. 43% is the ticker right now. And Jam Gaming really feels like they're struggling to force anything out of Drop Bears. They're playing very conservatively here is the blue team. And I don't know, it's going to take a lot from Jam to do something. What can they do? The EMP coming out straight away. Yeah,
and the great thing about that is it means that Kazet cannot use his sound barrier at all. Goes down straight off the bat to Jordation. Fight is over. Crimson Wolf knows it. He decides to dive off the edge.
Yeah.
That was a perfect EMP. And like, there's always that argument of, oh, do I save my EMP for the sound barrier so that I can deny the shield? Or do I use it beforehand? Well, I mean, you can use it beforehand as long as you can kill the Lucio.
It feels like if you can get off that EMP right at the start,
you win the
fight. Almost don't need to use anything else, right?
Yes.
So it's such a huge ability to get out there and to use it at the very start of that fight. And that's precisely what they've done. Render has his EMP ready to go. We'll see if he can do the same thing. It's going to be a big ask, 92%. This is the fight right now.
That self-destruct hasn't really done too much. Render does get his EMP off. Sydney Drop Bears haven't dropped anyone just yet, however. Looks like they're just going to be giving this one up straight off the bat. Actually, I don't mind that decision. I mean, like, it could have still been a winnable fight, but they knew that they forced quite a lot of Jam Gaming's ultimates. They lost a player. They're like, fair enough, let's just reset. We've got 99% to play with here.
Yeah.
We can afford to just take this loss and come back as a group and retake that next point.
Yeah, they almost from the start, it felt they let that point get taken off. They played it outside. And in the end, they didn't pick it up, so like, let's reset, and that's what we'll see here. Face ready to go with the sound barrier. Jordation, what can he do? There you go, very early.
Almost an EMP. This could be absolutely huge. 97%. If he can pull that one off just in time for this fight to come
there we go.
in the favor of Sydney Drop Bears, could make a difference. However, it's kind of a bit of a messy fight. There we go. The EMP does come out. Now let's see if Sydney Drop Bears can capitalize on it. Shoyo gets Kazet. That's a good pick. Bertlog finds Loon. Looks like that has swung things in the favor of Sydney Drop Bears.
It certainly will, and this is going to be very difficult now for Jam to bring this back. They are still contesting the point, but as soon as they lose it, that is it. And Bertlog will demech and pick up Crimson Wolf there. Shoyo with an ultimate kill of his own with that self-destruct. As they jump into the point, this would most likely be it, Elfishguy.
That is definitely going to be it. I don't think anyone's even going to get there, and of course they do not. So 2-0 to start things off there for Sydney Drop Bears. Putting up a good performance, maybe silencing some of the questions about this new roster. Although, again, it is, of course, just against Jam Gaming, not maybe one of the top teams in this group. Let's see how they do go against Masterminds. But so far, some really good early signs out from the guys on Sydney Drop Bears. Jordation, in particular, I thought was actually quite impressive on the Soldier. Tracer, he did a lot of work on in the second round as well. So he has had a pretty good performance there.
He has, and you talk about Masterminds, and I just want to put this question out there, right? If you are a team like Masterminds, who we're not seeing for a little bit, okay, you get firstly, the whole advantage of watching everyone else in your region in Contenders play.
Yep.
Plus, you have the advantage of watching everyone else in Contenders play as well. There's a ton of content out there. Do you go, because we're one of the best teams in the region, it's a benefit to us because we can take a look at it and see what everyone's doing? Or do you think that you go, we have the advantage of being one of the best teams in the region. Let's see how many games we can get out there and win before our opponents can catch up.
No, I think it's much more of an advantage to be able to have a look and see what people are doing to start things off. I mean, obviously, week one, you kind of... I mean, you have assumptions as to what people are going to be doing coming into the week, but you're not really going to know for sure. So this gives them not only an extra week to have a look at what everyone else is doing, but also an extra week to scrim on this new meta, scrim on the new patch, and figure out what they want to do themselves. So I think that's a massive advantage for not only obviously Masterminds, but Alter Ego as well. We're not seeing them start off this week either. So, I mean, that's a little bit of an advantage, in my opinion.
Yeah,
for those
I think you're probably right. There's pros and cons, but overall, it's nice to see what everyone else is doing and have a little bit more time to reflect and see what you can do yourself. So, map number 1, done and dusted here, Elfishguy. Let's go and take a look at what they will be picking, and it is Hollywood.
Yep.
So, since the Drop Bears won, Jam Gaming picks Hollywood, and then the Drop Bears get to pick the side. So we saw Blank, they like to pick defense. Maybe the same thing will come out here.
Yeah, potentially. And so far, a complete opposite of what we saw in our first one. First, it was Ilios and Numbani. Now it's Nepal and Hollywood. I like that.
Does that mean we're guaranteed Junkertown?
Maybe.
When I say guaranteed, I don't necessarily mean guaranteed.
No, I don't think we're guaranteed it.
Okay.
But I like this choice here for Jam. Hollywood, haven't seen it yet so far today, so that's going to be fun. However, I do think for Sydney Drop Bears, this is going to work quite nicely for them. I like Soldier on the first point of Hollywood. We saw Sydney Drop Bears using that earlier on in that first round of Nepal, so that could be something that they do decide to pick up again here. And from what we saw really from Sydney Drop Bears, it was just pure DM that essentially won them that. On Nepal.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It wasn't really, like, it wasn't down to the ult economy or anything. Obviously, the ult economy was very well done by Sydney Drop Bears, but like they didn't really even use many of their ults. They were just kind of out fragging.
Yeah, well, we're going to push our way onto this this hybrid map, Jordan. So we'll see what we can do here.
Yeah, Sydney Drop Bears have started on defense. Fortunately for me, no Soldier for Sydney Drop Bears, but of course Tracer and Sombra. That's kind of what you're going to be seeing a lot of the time nowadays in this new patch. Atar and Jordation going for a bit of a duel. Looks like Jordation might have had the better of that. However, Renda does come in and back up his teammate. Jordation does go down early on in the piece, but Sydney Drop Bears are going to decide to commit forward and still try and get some damage out here. Try and charge up a little bit of ultimates. I think the opposite is going to be what is occurring as Jam Gaming. This is going to be a feast for them. Shoyo, though, gets his ulti up. Oh, no, he was just Baby Diva. I was getting a little bit too excited for nothing.
A little bit less exciting than a self-destruct, perhaps. And Ada finds himself a frag, and with that, we'll tick over to his Pulse Bomb ultimate ready to go as well. And easy life there for the guys from Jam.
Yep, really good. And it does put them in a perfect position as well for this second phase where they have those ultimate advantages. So in theory, if they can utilize those properly, they should be able to take down Sydney Drop Bears, keep that payload moving once through this kind of streets phase. I mean, it gets a little bit more difficult once more, but they're doing a good job of controlling the high ground right now. So things are looking pretty nice for Jam Gaming.
Yeah, this is precisely where they want to be, and it's precisely how they want to come out after a pretty unimpressive effort there on Nepal. We'll see how this one plays out. Renda drops back a little bit. Here comes the ultimates now. Jam Game are going to try and force this one through. Both Potts and Jordation have gone down as well. Face almost going to get picked up here. He does go down. Shoyo not looking healthy. And Atar takes down Bertlog. So, Jam Gaming going to force their way through. 4:47 on the clock, Jordan, looking very strong right now.
Yeah, very good stuff again from Jam Gaming. And look at this, 4 ultimates available. Sydney Drop Bears, 1. 2 are coming up very shortly. That's Jordation, Billa. I mean, Quats as well is quite close as Face too. But for now, Jam Gaming do have a pretty big advantage, and they're just going to continue rolling that payload forward. It's barely stopped right now. Billa, though, does have his EMP available. So does Renda. Renda gets his off first. Let's see if this is going to be resulting in a wipe again for Sydney Drop Bears. Atar still hanging on to his Pulse Bomb. The timing perfect onto Bertlog. Transcendence fades away as the Pulse Bomb does go off. That's another pick in the favor of Jam Gaming. Atar finally starting to get warmed up into this game, but the picks are coming back in the favor of Sydney Drop Bears. I don't know where this fight's going.
Yeah, that was insane. Ada got both of the healers, including that fantastic Pulse Bomb. He, in return, gets picked up there by Shoyo. And finally, the Jam Gaming hype train is stopped only just before this second point. And slowly, it's going to start heading back to that VIP. A little bit unimpressed, I'm sure, but we'll have to see how they go. Overall, though, pretty good start there for Jam Gaming.
Yeah, fairly decent start, but now the question for me is, like, now that they've actually been stopped, that momentum has been cancelled, is that going to be the end here for Sydney Drop Bears, or for Jam Gaming rather, as Sydney Drop Bears starts to take control of this game? I suspect not, because Jam Gaming are coming into this one. They've got a big ultimate advantage against Sydney Drop Bears, used so many in the last fight. Jam Gaming should be able to clean this one up. They're already starting off with a couple of picks. Player advantage is in their favor, but they don't want to drop too many players here because the run back is very, very long right now for Jam Gaming. Not so long for Sydney Drop Bears. So this is basically the ideal position right now for Sydney Drop Bears to hold on to things. And you're showing that as we see lots of kills go in their direction. Their respawns come in a little bit faster than Jam Gaming. And again, Jam Gaming are going to be wiped, having to be forced to regroup again.
They will indeed. 2:52 now on the clock. See Billa doing a nice job there of just keeping all those health packs out of reach. And overall, it feels like Ata's been trying to carry his team through, but it hasn't been enough. He's straight in there. He's straight onto Bertlog every time, trying to pick him up. But at the moment, it hasn't been enough. Look at those
good hacks from Billa. Crimson Wolf in a bit of trouble here. Does go down to about half. Might even get D-Mech. That's huge, actually. Billa now potential for him to use his EMP. Doesn't even seem like they need it, though, as the picks are going in their direction. Jordation, meanwhile, did use his Pulse Bomb to get rid of another player from Jam Gaming. And it's just, once again, Sydney Drop Bears cleaning house.
They certainly are. They've secured the point, they locked it down, and they've managed to force Jam back each and every time. You can see the Jam are just starting to save up these ultimates here, Jordan. So we'll have to wait and see if they can use these at the right time and play it out. Render with his EMP ready. The same with Billa. We'll see who gets theirs off first and how that one plays out. But 150 on the clock, starting to run out of time here. We'll see if any good hacks come out for now. Shoyo jumping out. Crimson Wolf we saw get caught out last time, so not again. Jordation onto Sleep Easy.
Like, you can see Render's trying to run around, look for an EMP, but it's just too late. He does use it in the end there, but goes down straight after the fact. Already one of his teammates was down as well. And Sydney Drop Bears have such an advantage here. Billa still yet to use his. Does actually go down to the Pulse Bomb. Atar coming up huge there. And that might be just enough for Jam Gaming to cap this one out.
Atar has had some great plays so far in this map. We'll see if it's enough to push them through. We'll see that Winston coming out with an ult, and Jam Gaming going to drop the sound barrier as well. Cassette going strong. Sleep Easy's down straight away as that EMP comes out.
Is it going to be enough though? It doesn't seem like the kills are coming across here for Sydney Drop Bears. Now Billa is still alive, but he's on his own. And Jam Gaming, the momentum is in their favour. The trickle in effect for Sydney Drop Bears. Jordation does D-Mech one and gets the kill on Loon, but it's going to be a small consolation prize at this point as Jam do continue that payload forward. And I think the turning point really was Atar with that double kill, denying the EMP on Billa for that first part of the fight.
Yeah. Self-destruct comes out. Only just able to force them off. Shoyo does find Atar though, so no little tricks coming out there this time from Tracer. Bertlog takes down one, quats onto the other healer.
Oh, this is bad. If Crimson Wolf gets picked off here, or even D-Mech'd, Jordation probably going to chase this one up. Oh, he gets Loon. The damage from the Pulse Bomb enough to allow him to follow that one up. And that's really, really bad news here for Sydney Drop Bears because they're going to have to wait. Or rather, for Jam Gaming, it's great news for Sydney Drop Bears.
Yeah.
Jam's going to have to wait for Loon to respawn. He's going to be so far from this fight as Jam decides to jump straight onto this point because that's what they have to do. They've got 4 seconds left. It's really going to be down to the wire here, but Render, he could be huge if he gets this EMP off in time.
He's going to have to try and force his way back in, holding on to the point. It's going to be very, very close. Aiden's gone down, Sleep Easy's gone down. Surely there's not enough people left, and Shoyo takes out Crimson Wolf as well. And it looks like the Sydney Drop Bears should be able to hold this here on the last little inkling before that second point, Jordan.
They certainly do. And that was a really great chase out from Jordation, getting rid of Loon, put Jam Gaming into a really bad position, and then Render kind of just got forced out of the fight just as his ultimate came up. By that time that he got back into the fight with his Translocator, we already saw the Zenyatta ultimate, the Transcendence, come out from Sydney Drop Bears, and he kind of got in too late. Like, he used his EMP, but basically he was the last one left alive. So
yeah, it's very much less good if there's not really anyone there to help you, is there?
Exactly.
So it makes life difficult, but I guess that's the point, right? You need to be aware. I'm sure these teams are playing that way to make it very difficult for those EMPs to come out, because when they are used and they're used well, it really that can be the end of the team fight then and there. Yep,
exactly. But for now, Sydney Drop Bears are going to be feeling confident after that first one. Obviously, I mean, Jam have pushed it a reasonable distance, but it's not a very menacing distance. You know, they haven't got anywhere near the end of the map. And Sydney Drop Bears, they're going to be feeling like they've done a fairly good job.
You normally like to feel that you should be able to at least get to the point where they are at right now. And that is, you know, you will often see that teams might struggle again around that last corner. It's always the way. Just as it gets closer to the defender's spawn, it becomes a little bit easier to defend. And that's precisely what we saw there. On the flip side, the guys from Drop Bears, they started off slow here on Hollywood, but by the end, looking convincing. So they came from beyond the moon. Well, you'd like to think they came from beyond the moon, right? Because there's, like, the moon's pretty close. So if anything was going to come, it would probably come from beyond the moon,
That's
right?
true. I never really thought about it like that. But
unless there's, like, something living in the Earth, then that would be bad. They're not aliens, though, right?
No,
unless they came from somewhere else and then
live in the Earth. After the fact.
Right.
Right. Well, I'm glad we've got that cleared up.
Yeah. Save that one for next time.
Okay, Sydney
I'll
Drop
do
Bears.
some research.
Attack time for them. And again, the same old team comp out for them. Tracer and Sombra as their DPS. I don't think we've seen really much in the ways of anything but Winston and D.Va as the 2 tanks.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Winston and D.Va today, Jordan. Not surprisingly.
Not surprisingly, indeed. But so far, no picks out for Sydney Drop Bears. Jam Gaming did get a very, very early pick here on the first point in their own attacking side. Villa, though, almost getting up there and gets the hack off onto Render. That's dangerous. Villa just completely decimates his counterpart, and now he's really got the run of the game on that point. He's going to be able to get free hacks off onto everyone, decides he doesn't even need it. Atar actually does drop him, but the mech was taken down from Crimson Wolf. Still doesn't look like a winning fight, though, for Sydney Drop Bears, as they are forced back off the point.
They certainly are. And only Loon now going down, so potentially here for the Drop Bears to push on through with that one tank going down here for Jam. It could prove to be a little bit more difficult. Atar jumps on through, picks up Jordation 1v1, but still the Drop Bears on the point.
I like what Sydney Drop Bears did there. They didn't really contest the point so much, but they did manage to stay in and keep control of key parts of the map that they needed to be able to get straight back in onto that point once their respawns did come in through. So Sydney Drop Bears, even though it's a little bit slower of a camp than what Jam Gaming was able to achieve, they've done a pretty good job here. Looks like Jam Gaming is going to try and contest, and I'm not sure that's the right idea. However, the sound barrier does come out, completely denied there by Villa. Excellent timing from him. Really, there's no bad time to use the EMP, I suppose, but it works out quite nicely for Sydney Drop Bears. I mean, the ultimate is forced from Sleep Easy, but I think at this point that's probably a bit of a waste, and they're, I mean, buying a little bit of time, but probably better off used later on in the point too.
Yeah, it felt like they bought maybe 25-30 seconds. They fed the Drop Bears quite a bit of ult charge. They used up a ton of ultimates themselves. And now it feels like the Drop Bears should be able to get very close to where Jam got just in the next sort of minute or so. I feel like the next fight surely is theirs.
Yeah, that's what you would expect. But Render, 90% on that EMP. And we've talked about how impactful that can be. So far, I think Billa's definitely been the stronger Sombra on this matchup. Render hasn't really been too impactful with his EMPs.
It's all about who's the better elite hacker.
That hack was really good actually on Jordation.
Yeah.
It does deny him the recall. So he goes down, but on the same token, see a couple of picks going in the way of the Sydney Drop Bears. It's a very messy fight. Everyone all spread out across the map.
Yeah, Shoyo getting DMAX straight away. Billa takes out Render from the other side of things. Still 2 ultimates up here for the Sydney Drop Bears. They're going to push their way through. Quat, you'd like to think as soon as he hits his Primal Rage, it's going to cause a bit of a ruckus. And Bertlock there as well. Looking very, very good. This is exactly what the Sydney Drop Bears want if they push all the way through this last point. The potential for them to win it right now.
That could be the death knell really here for Jam Gaming, as that was one of their key ultimates available to them. Kazette, don't know if he's going to be able to get his ultimate off here. Yeah, he goes down. I think the EMP out from Villa shuts him down early on in the piece, and we see that payload just charging on forward right now for Sydney Drop Bears. No one from Jam Gaming to defend against it. Nope. That's another map in the favour of Sydney Drop Bears.
Another great win coming out from SDB, and honestly looking better than Jam on both those maps. 100%. Looking just that 1 tier above.
Yeah, play the game out from Atar. Might be the double kill with the pulse bomb in the first round. I think it's really much of a muchness at this point. Across the board, really, Sydney Drop Bears, like you said, did look a lot better. I thought their DPS, particularly again, were looking much more impressive. Atar, for the kind of experience and the name that he has, I don't think he's living up to it right now on this roster.
Right. It's hard. It's tough.
It's hard, of course it is. But this is the guy that, in theory, should be the carrier of the team, right? And at the moment, they're struggling. He's had some good moments.
Yes.
That's for sure.
That's it. You can have some good plays, but is it at the right time? Exactly. And is it enough? Is it consistent enough?
I wouldn't say that he's doing so much more than his counterparts on Sydney Drop Bears, if at all, to be honest. Actually, I think the Sydney Drop Bears DPS are doing much better. So, I mean, I think Billa, of the 4 DPS, is looking like the best so far. I mean, Jordation looked really good on Nepal, but Billa certainly owned Hollywood.
How are we feeling so far? Drop Bears?
Pretty confident.
If you're a Drop Bears fan, you're going, yeah, this is pretty good. If you're a Jam fan, you're going, no, not so great. Again, moments of greatness, but nothing that's enough to bring them through. Overall, not so great.
Yeah, maybe not what they were hyped up to be. That's, well, so far, definitely not.
Yeah.
They were kind of thought to be a team that could potentially challenge for this match. And it's 2-0. Is it going to continue to be 2-0? Well, I think that's the real question heading into these late stages of this matchup. But from what we've seen so far, it really looks like